When it comes to the problems facing modern gaming, have you stopped to consider for a moment that maybe, just maybe, you're simply too poor to enjoy your free time? Price increases, microtransactions, and monthly subscriptions simply aren't an obstacle for those with means. And let's be honest, guys, if you were truly fans of the medium, then money simply wouldn't be an option. At least, that's how Nintendo seems to operate. Hello fellow travelers and welcome to the Hardlight Network. Not long ago, I released a video on this channel talking about the recent price increases that have been facing Nintendo games. Unsurprisingly, there were the characteristic few people in there who simply told me that I should be paying more for the games that I enjoy. Essentially, to these people, if you aren't a multi-millionaire trust fund baby or at the very least willing to rob a bank, you simply shouldn't be complaining about video game prices. And if you're a Nintendo fan, unfortunately, the problem isn't going to be getting better anytime soon. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the recent price increases on last-gen consoles. But before we get into it, guys, do me a solid and hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment before you head out, letting me know what you think down below. Also, if you want to support this channel further, there are super thanks and memberships options down below. Feel free to join the channel today for access to exclusive content and perks that you can't get anywhere else. But without any further ado, let's get into today's article. Today's reading comes to us from our friends over at Tom's Hardware and is entitled, Nintendo Raises Prices on the Switch 1, making last-gen console a hard sell as the Switch 2 is increasingly easy to find in stock. Nintendo just announced a price hike for the US that will hit all original Switch 1 handheld consoles, Switch 2 accessories, and the Nintendo Sound Clock, Alarmo. According to its announcement, the company made these adjustments, quote, based on market conditions, and they have already taken effect, starting August 3rd, 2025. Thankfully, the cost for the Nintendo Switch 2, game titles for both Switch 1 and 2, and the Nintendo Switch Online memberships remain the same. However, the gaming giant also said that, quote, price adjustments may be necessary in the future. This is unusual, as most companies typically drop the prices of their old models after launching next-gen products. And Nintendo has just released the Switch 2, which has been quite successful and is projected to beat the original Switch. However, it seems that these price hikes are driven by economics, especially given the uncertainty of the tariffs that President Trump has applied to the US's trading partners. We can't directly blame tariffs for the increasing costs of these consoles though, as Canada was also affected by these price increases. The price increases vary between $30 and $50 for the Switch 1 consoles, bringing the cheapest Nintendo handheld to $230, and the most expensive Switch 1 option to nearly $400. At this price, you're better off spending $50 more and getting the Nintendo Switch 2, which starts at $450. This will give you a much better performance and a larger screen, although you'll be missing out on the OLED display. You can also install more games on the new handheld because it uses microSD express cards, although these cards are more expensive and harder to find if you don't know where to look. They offer better performance and allow you to load games directly from the expansion slot. More importantly, the Switch 2 is now readily available. This isn't like the PlayStation 5 launch fiasco, where scalpers made a ton of money buying up Sony's consoles because it had little to no supply. So as long as you know where to buy it, you can easily pick up a Nintendo Switch 2 console at any time. While Trump's tariffs are often a convenient excuse used by Nintendo defenders for the price increases of all gaming consoles entering the US, the fact that the price increase has also affected Canada just goes to show that Nintendo is trying to nickel and dime customers for everything they can. I would even go as far as to say that this isn't really about getting more out of the Switch 1, but rather pushing people towards purchasing a Switch 2. At this rate, gamers are actively being priced out of their favorite hobby, And as it goes on, people are going to resort to less scrupulous measures in order to enjoy the titles that they love so much. While I obviously can't advocate for any illegal solutions to this problem here on this YouTube channel, I can definitely say that I understand the motivation. If you're like me, over the course of your lifetime, you've likely sunk thousands of dollars into this hobby. And with the increasing prices and diminishing returns of these products, I can't say that I blame people for looking elsewhere to get their fix. Personally, my strategy is to wait, either for a sale or for titles to naturally decrease in price upon subsequent releases. I don't really mind waiting months or years to play a title, especially given that nowadays a game is as likely to fail and disappear within a few weeks of release than it ever has been in the past. Like I've said in other videos, I'd much rather wait for a game to go through its patch cycle, actually become a finished product, and buy it at a reduced price. Sure, maybe once in a while I'll miss out on the shiny new toy that everyone's talking about, or perhaps I'll miss out on the opportunity to play the game of the week with my friends, but I think that's a fair trade-off for not getting screwed at the checkout counter. And to tell you the truth, guys, only a company like Nintendo would have the absolute sack to charge $110 for a glorified alarm clock. But honestly, maybe that's just me, being the broke boy bargain bin shopper that I've always been. At the end of the day, when you factor in Nintendo's recent practices, their price increases on games, and their attack on physical game media, I don't think it takes the world's greatest detective to see where Nintendo is going with this particular price increase. At the risk of sounding redundant, I genuinely believe that all of this is geared towards pushing players towards the Switch 2. Call me old-fashioned, but I'd honestly rather be sold on a new product than manipulated into purchasing one. But that's going to do it for this video today, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched up to this point. If you like this video, leave a like and do me a solid and hit that comment section before you head out of here. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future. As a former Nintendo fan, it genuinely does suck to see this constant stream of bad news come out of the company. Personally, I don't think it would bother me so much if I didn't know that they could do better than this. Their games are amazing, and I've got a lot of nostalgia wrapped up in their older titles that I would love to share with my kids. But as things go on and these problems get worse and worse, it seems like less and less of a possibility. Either way, at least we know there's always going to be something to talk about. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, and until next time, love you guys, safe travels.